I'm going to kick things off right. I'm going to do the week 6 pickups, and this is all based on Yahoo. So that's where I go, and the percentages that are listed by the player, that's percentage rostered, and I try to keep it under 20% so that it's almost like a universal thing. Like if you're in a 10-man, 12-man, 20-man, 16-man, like any size league that you're in, you can go and get one of these guys. You don't have to worry. Obviously, I'd love to put up C.J. Stroud. I'd love to put up, a few guys of that caliber. But at this point, CJ is probably 75% rostered. Let's just be honest. I mean, you're not getting him. The time to get CJ would have been week 2 or week 3, if that. So, number 1, I'm going to put KJ Osborne, 12% rostered. That's a steal. I mean, this guy, Jordan Addison's good. I'm like really good, but he ain't Justin Jefferson. So, I mean, those targets are, yeah, yes, hell yeah. That's great. But yeah, Osborne's shown he's been a number 3 for years and has shown flashes. He was productive when it was Diggs, Thielen, and Osborne. He was productive when it was Jefferson, Thielen, Osborne. Now it's going to be Addison and Osborne. So we'll see what KJ can do when he's actually in the starting lineup every week, getting full-time targets, full-time looks. We'll see what he can do. I think KJ's a steal at 12%. You got to have room on your bench for KJ. Absolutely. We've both been fans of his for a couple years. Just don't think he's gotten the opportunities. Number 2, this guy kind of came out of nowhere. I remember watching the college playoffs last year, TCU and Michigan, and then TCU and Georgia in the national title game. And Amari DiMercato, like he kind of came out, came out of nowhere. He's undrafted, but the Cardinals are going to be on this list quite a bit. I mean, they're on the waiver list every week because they play hard, they try hard, but I mean they're deficient of players or they have a lot of injuries. So you're going to have the Josh Dobbses roll through the waivers. You're going to have, last week we had Michael Wilson, maybe Rondale. If Rondale, dips below 20% rostered, we'll get Rondale on this list. Another running back they picked up, I put it in the scroll on the bottom at the beginning of the show, Tony Jones from the Saints, who actually had a decent game, filling in for Alvin Kamara. I think it was week 2 or something. So, Tony Jones might get some carries here too. But DiMercato, he's worth a look. I mean, he had a decent game against Cincinnati on Sunday, and we'll see what he can do in week 6. Like I said, these running backs are especially deeper leagues, they are hard to find. So anybody, like I said, it's the pretty girl at the dance. It's like 40 guys, one girl. Everybody's rushing to that girl. Everybody's going to be rushing to a running back that shows any kind of promise. So I'd put him at 2. Another running back that we both like a lot, Kendre Miller from the Saints, got some more usage than normal in week 5, which is good. Him and Kamara should be the 1-2 punch there. They shouldn't, no offense to Tony Jones Jr. and these other kind of, lesser guys they've had getting carries throughout the year. Jamal Williams has been hurt. I mean, he's kind of been a bust for what they, the kind of contract they gave him after that monster year with Detroit last year. So now everything's playing out the way it should. Alvin Kamara's back, and Kendre Miller is probably, and he should have an effect. I mean, he's not, Ed Kamara is in his 7th year, so he's not going to be the workhorse that he used to be, like every week. So Kendre Miller, he stays healthy. Great number 2. I kind of like the Saints running game. I do. If they both these guys stay healthy, Saints could be going place with that. Only 12% rostered, worth a roster spot, especially in a deeper league. Stash him away. Samuel, he's having a deceptively good year. He's had double-digit fantasy points in 3 of the 5 games. Like I remember him in Carolina a couple years ago. He kind of went off the radar when Washington signed him. And now he's back. You can almost argue he's been their number 1 guy this year. Him and Howell, have a good rapport. I mean, Logan Thomas is back from the dead, and so is Samuel. McLaurin, I don't know if he's right, if he just something's going on. I don't think he's a young guy. I don't think he's lost a step, but McLaurin's kind of been out of the mix. Dotson, he hasn't really popped like we thought he might in his 2nd year. But yeah, Samuel, only 18% roster. I'd snag him up right now. He's a guy you could literally pick up. And in a 12, 16-man league, especially with bye weeks going on now, he's a guy you could put right in the starting lineup. You could put in the flex spot, and I'd feel comfortable playing him. Like I said, 3 of the 5 games, double-digit fantasy points. And the last guy at number 5, I got to get, I've ripped the guy, and we probably both have at some point. Desmond Ritter's been really good. He's had 2 of the 5 it's 2 of the 5 that he's had 26 points or above in fantasy, and I think it's 3 of the 5 that he's had more than 20. Which, I mean, he gets a lot of hate, but 3 of the 5 games having over 20 fantasy points for a quarterback, that's not bad. That's like Russell Wilson. And people, even at this point, they universally think Russ is better than Desmond Ritter. Well, I don't think there's much of it. Fantasy-wise, there's not much of a difference at all. Like, Desmond Ritter's like right there. And, Sam Howell, a couple other guys that are underrated. Baker's still out there. I could have put Baker in this spot. But yeah, Desmond Ritter only 5% rostered. If they get he has weapons. Like, if this were to ever take off, you would get a major steal. I know I have him in one of our dynasty leagues, and I'm sitting him there. I'm waiting because it's like he's got Pitts, he's got Drake London. Van Jefferson is he is what he is, but I mean that's here and there he'll catch a 70-yard touchdown. He's capable of that. And catch a bomb. The running game they have. Desmond can move a little bit. Things might be looking up for the Falcons offense. Only 5% roster, like I said. Put Desmond Ritter at 5, and those are my Fab 5.
Should just call it a Fab 4. Just keep Ritter out of this because I don't like.
God, no! Don't be hating on Ritter. Hey, man! Oh my God! I'm going to ask you. So if you had to choose. Okay, you have 4 quarterback options, in the waivers for guys that are going to be starting at least the next couple weeks for sure. Okay, you have an option between Josh Dobbs, Baker Mayfield, Desmond Ritter, or Gardner Minshew. Who are the two of those 4 quarterbacks that you're keeping that you try to go and get? 2 of the 4.
I would go with Minshew, and I would probably go with Baker. That's just my. I like Baker.
No, that's fine. I mean, go ahead, Jay.
I mean, Minshew he's actually getting the rapport with a lot of these guys, even though he's, AR5's kind of in it. He's kind of been in and out, but the guy who's going to actually kind of be on the rise is, Josh Downs, just because he'll be a blanket for Minshew. Pierce is kind of there. You got that 2-headed monster with, Moss and Taylor. So overall, I like Minshew in this situation. Ritter, I just don't think he has the goods yet for me to actually buy in. I just he had only so far he's only had 2 games with over 20 points, and then the rest of the games are under 10 points. So I mean, this was the only time he was actually this week he was actually a QB6 this week. Other than that, he's like a QB 25, QB 26. I mean, he was a QB 30. So I mean, this is the first time that I seen that he was a QB6. Other than that, I
think I was wearing these glasses. I could have swore it was 3 of the 5. I must be missing stuff. Oh my God. Well, but anyways, that's fine. No, that's fine. Minshew and Baker, because realistically, these are the waiver guys everybody's looking at. Whether you're Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo, so that's a good discussion point between those 4, because those are a lot of the guys that you're looking at when you're in the deeper leagues and you're looking for that backup quarterback or that 2 quarterback league. You're looking for the bye week fill-in guy. These are the options. I would take Baker and Desmond Ritter, but with what Minshew's working with the weapons, yeah, I agree. Like he's got some upside, definitely. Pittman Jr., Taylor can work out of the backfield, catch passes. Josh Downs is kind of coming into his own. So Granson's not not anything special at tight end, but he's not not terrible. He catches passes, so you got a few guys to work with in Indy. And Minshew's shown flashes. He's had 300-yard games before in the pros, so.
Oh, most definitely. But yeah, before we swap over onto my side of waivers, Donovan says, "What if Keaton Ingram plays this week? He's been ruled out." Well, we just mentioned right. We just mentioned Imare. So just I think it's going to come down to best player at hand, and with Amare kind of already being involved already somewhat, Keaton hasn't really been involved, and just looking at his stat lines, and he's had contribute very, very little. So I think they're going to be going. I think it's going to I think they're going to ride the hot hand on what kind of happens here, especially when it comes to the running back
It's
situation.
but that doesn't mean, Donovan, that Ingram is not going to have value. Let's say week 10. Because we with a lot of these like fill in, lesser known, mediocre kind of running backs, these by committee places. It's always subjective to like Jay was saying, like who's the hot hand, what week is it? So Ingram, you could probably get away. Oh, because I know what you're saying. You don't want him to pop for 65 yards and a touchdown this week, and then everybody and their mom picks him up and he can't get him. I understand what you're saying. I don't think this is the week though. I think DeMercado is going to be, if anybody's going to pop, it's going to be him this week. So I would hold off on that Ingram thought for at least another couple weeks, and then see if he gets worked in at all. Let's see if he gets, like Pierre Strong with the Browns. Let's see if Ingram gets 5 carries for 37 yards, or it works his way in where it's like, okay, because I don't think it's just going to come like an avalanche. I don't think Ingram's going to come in and his first game is going to have 23 carries, 150 yards, and a touchdown. I don't think, so hold off on that to answer your question.
Yep, for sure. For anybody who's actually played on a sleeper platform, this is for your 10 to 12 man leagues. I got Minshew up in here. I got the Minshew, the guy that looks like he's from the 70s and just that slick hair, bandana
Uncle
looking.
Rico.
But yes, with AR5 more likely missing a month, Minshew, I would probably go on if you actually, especially in 2 QB leagues, I would be snagging up Minshew. We just kind of overtalked Ritter here just a little bit. I would probably pick up Minshew over Ritter just because I just like what Ritter, Minshew has as far as weapon wise. Ritter, he's got upside, but I'm not buying in yet on Ritter. I have to see probably another good game from him. Maybe maybe 1 or 2 more games if he can be a top 10 quarterback. But yeah, than that, we got Diamacarto at 1%. He's out there. DJ Shark, if you need somebody, he's out there about 19%. That's DJ is kind of the only guy that I've seen that's kind of liable right now, especially with Mon St. Brown maybe missing a couple weeks or so. Wait, DJ Shark. Oh wait, no, I messed that up. He's a frick. God damn it, he's a Jaguar.
No, just
How
go with
dare
me. Just go with him. Anytime DJ Shark puts up a monster fantasy week, we're gonna play the Jaws music. Dun 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 dun.
Right.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah. But yes, he's a Jaguar. So yeah,
he did play like a shark. He did play like a shark this week, though. He earned that name.
But if you have Amon St. Brown on your team, and and he's going to miss a couple weeks, go out and snag up DJ Shark in that situation. Logan Thomas, he's a tight end he's kind of simmering with being a top 15 tight end more than likely, and he's somehow's go-to guy for his little cushion for the pushing. But Logan Thomas,
more pushing, baby.
But yes, Logan Thomas will be that guy if you need a tight end for this week. And I got my main guy over here, KJ Osborne. He's
Hell yeah.
Oh, excuse me. He's 2% rostered, so it's gonna I think he'll be a number 3. I'll be a number 3 in this just because they got Addison, Hawkinson, and they do got a little bit of Madison. But KJ Osborne can blossom with JJ being out for a month. So I mean, this is his opportunity to actually be explosive, and the things that we've seen with him previously last year. He's the guy that we want to see get some balls. So KJ Osborne, if you need him, go snag him up. And we have Tajay Spears. He might be 37% rostered. I just like this kid. I mean, he got more bulk of the of the carries from the main guy. So I just like the fact that yes, the D man himself. Tajay Spears 37% rostered. He actually had I think he had a touchdown. this kid is explosive. The way he just cuts in and out of these, the offensive line, and he just bursts. I, s- I actually had to drop Tajay Spears too in a league or two, and these are the guys that it's one of those things. I had to try to find a wide receiver, and I didn't. It's like, all right, well, I have to drop Tajay Spears, even though I really didn't want to. He was at that time, it was the guy I had to cut, to actually pick up somebody, and I didn't want to drop guys like the Moss and Spears, but you have no choice in actually having to drop these guys to pick up a wide receiver or a tight end. So it's just kind of, this is one of those things that kind of suck, for a fantasy manager making these hard decisions. And you know Spears, I have him in some of my leagues, and I didn't want to drop him, and I had to drop him. But go out there, get Spears. I think this will be a 1-2 punch with D Henry and Spears.
This I'm gonna say it. This guy is one Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry. I can't even say his name. He's one Derrick Henry injury, one injury away from being, like, I don't want to say Brees Hall. I mean, Brees Hall is a monster, top 5 running back in my opinion. But he's going to explode. I mean, this is going to be a Jerome Ford situation where he kind of comes out of nowhere and he's getting 100-yard games and like, wow, okay. Or A-Chain from Miami. He's going to have that type of explosion onto the scene where everybody's going to know who Tajay Spears is. By next year, they will. So, I mean, if you can get on him now, 37%, that's not bad. I mean, that's reason. You can probably get him in a 12-man. We do the 20%, less than 20% stuff because it's just, we know there's a variety of leagues. We know there's deeper leagues. It's hard to get, but 12 man, you can definitely get Tajay Spears, and he'd be definitely worth a pickup and, stash him on the bench for sure.
Yep. All right. Now for those deeper. So now for those deeper leagues.
Going deep, going real deep.
Yeah, we're going real deep. This one was a bugger for me because I had to think, and I'm like, man, it's just like there was very slim pickings, and if you really need somebody, I mean, Diamaro Caigardo. We just call this guy the tequila guy.
ED.
Like
he's ED. He should get some of that Blue Chew that they have on the
internet. But yes, other than that, he's 1% rostered. So I have Baker Mayfield and Minshew. I mentioned Minshew already. Especially if you're 2 quarterbacks, deep leagues. If you're needing somebody, especially with the buys, with Pittsburgh and Green Bay being out, you don't have Love or Pickett. Minshew and Baker Mayfield are valuable assets to actually comprehend for those guys missing out. If you need somebody, I just mentioned I like Baker. I'll probably even try to shoot for Baker in some of my waivers too. I like Baker just because he's got the weapons. He's got the offensive weapons. He's got Godwin. He's got Evans, and the other guy Trey Palmer too as well. And then there was the other kid.
Tompkins, the young kid Tompkins. Yeah.
Yep. He is the other one too as well. I mean, so don't sleep on Trey Palmer too much. I think it's gonna go back and forth between Tompkins and Palmer just to see. So I think it's just gonna be kind of that's one of those situations, kind of the wide receiver 3. I mean, it's Trey Palmer is still kind of, we mentioned him before already. I mean, he's still learning the route tree. He's very limited in what he can and can't do. So I mean, he's still kind of a working prospect in a lot of these these aspects of the football game. I mean, he was very limited when he was with Nebraska. So I just think slowly, eventually, I think Trey Palmer will be worked into the situations that they need. But they already got Mike Evans. They already got playmakers. But don't keep your eye out on Trey Palmer. I mean, I just want to mention that because we've been talking about him most of the summer. But Trey Palmer is a guy we like too. So just keep him in your back of your mind. You don't have to go out and pick him up. I mean, if you got the space for him, maybe go pick him up. But other than that, Darius Slayton, I know you mentioned Wandale. I hate putting.
It's a juggling act. It's a juggling act with these giant receivers. You're like, pick your poison.
Quite honestly, I don't want any part of the Giants' offense at all. Period. Just because there's nothing going on. It's just it's a wasteland of wide receivers because you just don't know who's popping. They're not getting any traction going. I mean, that's the downfall. But Slayton is, if they really needed somebody, Slayton was their kind of their target guy that, got the targets, got the touchdowns, got the yards, the yak yards, stuff like that. He was kind of that guy. But when you got a whole slew of, Sterling Shepard, Wandale Robinson, and freaking bunch of Jalen Hyatt, so they have a slew of guys that just we're just sitting there ready to be plucked. They're like, hey, I want 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. They're ready for it. They just can't get anything going. But and Tyler Clunk, the Clunk monster
The
of
clunk.
the guy
The clunk.
the guy who the guy who actually won Angry Runs this week. I was actually watching that this morning. So he actually
Oh,
won he won the scepter. So yeah, so if you need a tight end in deeper leagues, I think Tyler is the guy I would kind of be looking at. He's actually had 28 targets overall for the total of the year. So he's been averaging 5 or 6 targets per game. So I mean, if you need, if you need somebody, Wilson is looking at Conklin for some targets as well. So that is my top 6 sleepers for your deeper leagues. Whew. But we have
I
2 more segments.
and I was gonna say quick too, Jay. An honorable mention. And I know he was I think he was in the previous screen, Logan Thomas. But yeah, Logan Thomas is another guy in a 16 man. You could probably get him too. It's like he's resurrected from the dead. I mean, he's like the Logan Thomas from a couple years ago, before all the injuries started piling up. So yeah, Conklin, not bad. Is a backup 16 man tight end. Yeah, he's perfect. Him, Logan Thomas. Thomas should be probably start. I think Jay was saying he's 11th rated fantasy tight end right now. Conklin's probably like around 20. So I mean, yeah, he's not bad.
I can look him up quick. I think he's up there a little bit too. I'll look at season wise here real quick. Look that up here.
See, he's got to check. He's got to check this now because I said Desmond Ridder had one more 20+ fantasy game that he actually did. I'm talking up Desmond Ridder like he's the best thing since sliced bread, and I'm wrong.
Conklin is actually 18th tight end on the season.
Close, yeah. The same
yeah. So I mean, he's behind. So at top of him, you got Kyle Pitts, Higbee, Ertz, Ferguson, Jonnu Smith, Schultz. So I mean, these guys are all in the same ballpark, So I mean, it is what it is. But yes, it's kind of been a long haul already. So I mean, we appreciate everybody that has been tuning in with us. We just have a few more segments to actually whip out, and then you guys can go on and do all those waiver claims. I'll be doing some waiver claims, and yeah,
if you're not doing those waiver claims, you're probably setting a DFS team, which means, okay, Eli, where do I go? There's a couple. FanDuel, there's DraftKings. I happen to like DraftKings. That's why I usually go with the DraftKings here. Usually the